right, guys, welcome to an episode of Pick Money, the podcast. I got a very special guest here, my friend Sean Mike Kelly. How you doing, buddy?
Good, man. Lots changed.
A lot has changed. A lot's changed for you.
And you.
Yes, yeah, that is true. That's a good thing that we're not stagnant. Well, first of all, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely.
I really, we were talking before we started, and I've always said that I think one of the, Andrew was talking the other day about having you on a podcast. I'm like, dude, you're one of those people that is very, very enjoyable to talk to.
Thank you.
Not just your knowledge base, your communicative style. So I appreciate you being here, man.
Thanks.
You want to bring everybody up to speed on what's going on with you. I have some very specific questions, but bring us up to speed on what's going on with you.
Yeah, what a year, man. So it's December now. We're at episode 1,000, I think, almost.
Crazy.
Yeah, so I filmed 1,200, but we're at about 1,000. Just had the biggest F1 networking event in Vegas, so I'm crushing the event space as well. And exciting things are happening, dude. I'm catching up to Rogan. I think I said that last time I was on. That's my goal, to catch up to Joe Rogan. He's at 2,400 episodes, so I should be there in 2 to 3 years.
Dude, that's funny. He's like, my goal is to catch up to Joe Rogan. I mean, Joe Rogan is a legend.
That's the GOAT of podcasting.
When was that? When was that your goal?
I'd
when
say
did
about,
that actually become a realistic goal for you?
Yeah, it wasn't day one. I'd say about episode like 700, 800, somewhere in there. I was like, wait, I'm like a third of the way there. I did that in 2 years. I could definitely catch that world record.
Amazing. Well, I got all the faith in you, dude. I'm pulling for you. Ain't no doubt about it. Anything I can do to help you, let me know.
For sure.
I want to get into, on here, Sean, what I'm doing, what I'm trying to do is, and you were talking about having some of the people I worked with on your show, and I really appreciate everything you've done for everybody. And this pick money mindset was, I see people that, we talk about sporadic or kind of meander through life, if you will. And I want to talk to you very specifically about some financial stuff.
Yeah.
And I want your opinion on it. You get to meet with a lot of people. You've met with thousands of dynamic people you've been around. And I want to ask you a couple fact or fiction kind of deal. You tell me fact, why, fiction, why. Because these have been really good questions that have been posed to me lately. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to ask some people that I think have an opinion that I trust and are important to me. So do you believe in today's world that anybody that chooses to could go out there and become a millionaire? When I become a millionaire, meaning they have $1 million in their net worth, which you might go, he's done very well, just bought a badass house. I mean, it's amazing for you the things you've accomplished in your life, especially at a very young age. Do you believe that anybody in America that chooses to could become that wealthy?
I would lean towards yes. I've had on so many guests, and a majority of them either came from nothing, very broke, or even some in debt and became a millionaire. So I would lean towards yes on that one.
Okay. And if you looked at that, what do you think has been a common characteristic if you were going to pick out one thing for those folks that's allowed them to be successful? A
lot of it, I would say, is who they surround themselves with, whether it's a mentor, a group of people, conference. That seems to be in almost every story I've seen.
Okay.
Fact
or fiction? Being an entrepreneur is the easiest way, or the fastest way to become wealthy. Not the easiest. I apologize.
Whoa. Fastest. I would say no on that one.
Okay. Why?
I mean, for me, it took, I would say, 5-6 years to become a millionaire in entrepreneurship, which is way faster than most. If I had to guess,
it's faster than 99.9% of people.
Right. That's if I had to guess. But I was working 18 hours a day, 7 days a week, so I made up for that time. You know what I mean? If I just worked 9 to 5, it probably would have taken 10 to 12 years. So I would say no to that one.
Okay. Fact or fiction? The majority of the people that we see on social media, the majority, could be 51%. Do you believe that they are misrepresenting, over-representing, or straight out lying about their financial situation?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, that's not even close.
Why do they do it, and why do people fall for it?
I think insecurity is a big thing. I think you got to put on a persona to attract customers, so they're just showing the highlights of their life. It's natural to want to just post that. I mean, I still do it. I post all the good things happening to me.
But you post the true things.
I do. Yeah, I try to post both sides.
Yeah.
I talk about my lawsuits. I talk about my losses. I've made and lost all my money twice in my life. I talk about that. I think it's important.
When was your first lawsuit?
First one was I was 18 and it was a mess.
What would you get sued for?
TCPA.
Really?
Yeah. So my Shopify store was texting customers that abandoned their cart, and I got hit with a lawsuit.
Got it.
$500 for every text sent. I sent tens of thousands of texts. I would have been bankrupt if that went to the full trial. I ended up settling.
How old were you then?
I was 18 or 19.
Who was the first person you called when you got served?
Oh, so I was dodging it for a while. The guy
So you
tried.
knew they were trying to serve you?
Yeah, he came to my mom's house, came to my dad's house. He finally got me at my dad's house, and then I told my dad, and he never had any experience with that. He's not an entrepreneur, so it was tough. It was lonely.
Who was the first person that put your mind at ease that you spoke to before your attorney? Hopefully your attorney seems obviously he or she was good, but anybody you talked to beforehand that you were like, okay, it's not going to be that bad.
I started looking for people that were dealing with that specific lawsuit. I think I might have hit up Dan Fleischman or someone or a mentor I had at the time. I don't remember exactly. It was so long ago, but that one was the really rock bottom. I developed agoraphobia, massive depression, anxiety. I thought the whole world was crumbling.
Really?
Yeah.
And before that, you didn't have any of those?
I had anxiety, but that just took it to a whole nother level that I never experienced.
So this like literally crippled you?
Oh, I was bedridden. I couldn't leave my bed for a month.
So what happened? How'd you snap out of that?
Ended up settling, so that helped a lot, realizing, okay, I can come back from this. It's just money. And then got a therapist. That didn't help. I got a dog. That kind of helped. Tried out a lot of different things, and eventually just time healed it.
Therapist didn't work?
Did not work on me. I had a male therapist. I wonder if it'd be different if I had a female.
Somebody said to me the other day.
Yeah, they're better with emotional, stuff, so.
Isn't it funny how time heals damn everything?
Pretty much, yeah. You look back at your problems that you used to worry about years ago, and it's like a joke these days,
It's all perspective, right? I remember when we launched, the last company that I launched and we sold, we were getting sued. And everybody that I worked with, I realized they had never been sued, like ever. And we had a guy in California, his name's Trey, great dude. And I said, listen, man, like you don't go out of your way to get served. It's not what you do. So the guy come in, the marshal come into the office and tried to serve one of the employees who, the person wasn't there.
Yeah.
So he threw the paperwork at the girl at the front desk. Well, Trey chased him outside. The dude got in a truck. Trey, I don't know why he thought this made sense, but I love him for being such a word. Jumped on top of the truck, pulled the windshield wiper up, put the paperwork down. Dude took off. He rolled off the truck, broke his collarbone.
Whoa.
True story. Broke his collarbone. True story. On video. This guy, like literally the guy assaulted him with his truck.
Damn.
Yeah. And I realized, oh shit, I got to be careful what I say. Because he was like, I didn't want to get served. I said, don't go out of your way to get served. I didn't say to go ahead and pull some like stuntman bullshit and almost die. If he'd run you over, I felt pretty bad, but I didn't, but in hindsight, I was like, dude, they were just freaking out. Because what you realize in business is, a guy told me when I was 18, he said, Sean, remember, big fucks small. And I was like, okay, I get it, but explain that to me. He said, you have to be careful when you get rolling because people will try to intimidate you.
Yeah.
And it works. Worked with you. I mean, you got out of it and the whole deal, but you could have gone a different direction. You could have given up being out. What if it wasn't settled?
Right. Yeah, if it went to, that would have been bad.
Yeah.
I'm dealing with another nasty one right now, and I definitely had anxiety from it. I think it's natural, a lot's on the line. But it's just money at the end of the day. So I have that mindset now where, okay, I could come back from this if I
And
move.
also you realize, like, that anybody can sue anybody for, like, at the end of the day, like, and again, I never, and maybe I'm just not that deep. Like, because my daughter one day came upstairs and said, Dad, there's a guy at the front door, and he's looking for you. I said, are his hands behind his back? And she's like, why? I'm like, she's probably trying to serve me something, doesn't want you to see it, so I come downstairs. And so she gave it to me, and I put it on the table, and went back upstairs to work out. And she's like, what are you being sued for? I'm like, I don't know. And then she's like, well, and she's inquisitive. She's like, well, what do you do with it? I'm like, I just sent it to my attorney. She's like, well, what does he do with it? I go, I pay him, and that's his job to look at it and take care of it. But I see so many people that are independent contractors, and they're like, whatever industry they're in. And the person's like, well, you can't go do it. It's like, dude, you're independent. You might not be able to do the things you're doing with them and their services and all that, but you can go, like, live your life.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of really young people are like high school, maybe didn't go to school at all after that, start working for somebody else. I did that, and the guy was like, you can't leave here. And I'm like, dude, it's a real estate company. When I have a real estate license, I moved 4 times. And all 4 times, they're like, we're going to sue you. I was like, okay. Like, where my apartment is. I don't have anything anyway. Have at it. All right, so, and thank you for speaking so openly about that. I appreciate that. Yeah. What business do you believe today, if all things are being equal, and somebody would come to you and say, Sean, I'm willing to work 18 hours a day. I have a little bit of money. I'm certainly not wealthy by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm willing to grind. What do you think for an average person per se would be, if you were to pick an opportunity or business in today's world, where would you direct them towards, push them
Ooh,
towards?
that's a really good one. I would lean towards sales,
Okay.
because if you're good at selling, I mean, that can apply to so many industries, and the trend of industries is ever changing. Right now, crypto's hot. Last year was AI. The year before that was probably the peak of podcasting. So it's just always changing. But if you're good at sales, you can make, I would say, 6 figures a year.
And you interview a lot of people. Do you think, I believe that anybody can be good at sales? Like, I believe that. When people say to me, man, he's really good, I'm like, dude, matter of fact, every company I've ever run, I tell the salespeople, you can train. But if you get up on stage and you tell them that you're doing it because you have some special gift, I can't let you train. If you want to talk about you outwork them, talk about outworking them. If you invest more in your business, talk about that. If you develop thicker skin, but if you tell them, man, I'm just like fucking born salesman. No, you're an asshole. Because you're not. Do you believe, because you see all kinds of people, that anybody can become, because you were Gore Forbic and now you're like, I'm going to pass Joe Rogan.
Right.
Like, think about how crazy that sounds when I say it out loud. No, I was bad anxiety. I got a therapist, got a dog, didn't work. It's Gore Forbic, didn't leave my bed for a month. And now here you are getting in front of everybody in the world you can. Are you concerned when you get in front of people now? Are you anxious?
Not really. Certain guests, maybe a little bit. Certain stages, because I'm public speaking now, maybe a little bit, but it goes away as soon as
Goes away.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, next time it'll be like, okay, now I'm in front of 20,000 people.
Exactly.
Now I'm in front of millions of people.
Yeah, it's all the same.
Do you believe that if people choose to work hard at their craft, that anybody, because a lot of people say to me, I'm not a salesperson, Sean.
Right.
I would do that, I'm just not a salesperson. Do you think that's a cop-out? Do you think anybody could be good at sales if they chose to be?
100% a cop-out. 3 years ago, I would have said no to that question. Now I would definitely say yes after doing 1,000 podcast episodes. And
Why would you have said three years ago? That's just what you believe?
That was my mindset at the time. I was introverted. I was shy. Couldn't even talk to anyone. So that was my mindset. I would have said 3 years ago, I cannot be good at sales.
Well, I think that's what's sad for me, because I think people like people they can trust. I think people buy from people they can trust. And I think the more extroverted you are and over the top, the more nervous it makes people, because most people aren't that way.
Right.
So I think if you're trying to sell me anything and you're more open to listening to me and having a conversation that's mutual, I'm a lot less nervous you're taking advantage of me. Matter of fact, the con men that you watch on American Greed or wherever else, those are not those are extroverted people
Right.
that were really charismatic. That, I think, psychologically tends to make us nervous, not the antithesis.
I
right?
agree. Yeah, the energy difference is too
Yeah.
much to deal with.
Like, I think a lot of people that have not been crazy comfortable with people, once they start talking enough, I'm like, people buy from you all the time because you're just going to, like, shoot them straight. What are the people afraid of? They don't want to be lied to.
Yeah.
They don't want to be oversold.
And I'll add on to this one quick thing. I forget this gentleman's name, but he had the biggest stutter you've ever seen. Like, the podcast was a very challenging podcast for me to film, but he makes 7 figures a year with sales.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, it was that bad that it was hard for you to film.
It was that bad. Every question I asked took like 5 minutes to develop the answer because his stutter was that bad. But he's able to lock in on his sales script and just not stutter during that part.
So he doesn't stutter during that part. He's so locked in,
Yeah.
he can get through that whatever period of time.
Yeah,
it
it's
is.
when he has to think on the fly. That's when the stutter kicks in.
That's amazing. All right, so obviously, first of all, did you think that Trump was going to win? And did you think, number one, did you think he was going to win?
Yes.
Okay, did you think he was going to win in the fashion that he won?
No, I thought it'd be closer.
Okay, and what do you think are 1 or 2 reasons why Kamala and the Democrats had such a poor showing on Election Day?
Alternative media and podcasts and Elon Musk buying X,
Okay,
Twitter.
alternative media podcasts, explain what they should have done, and there's plenty of things but what they should have done differently as it pertained to alternative media.
All her scripts on podcasts were robotic. They weren't genuine at all. And then Trump was the complete opposite. He was just so genuine. He was going on all the right shows. He was going on shows that would challenge him. Kamala was just doing these softball interviews. You could tell those guys were either paid off or like whatever. Like, you know, did you see those podcasts?
Yeah, I watched them. It's
Yeah,
painful.
yeah,
It's
it's
hard.
painful.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think even just listening was really hard to be, because I don't like people that I can't connect with in any capacity.
Yeah.
And I don't like people that aren't real. And it's funny because I said, 8 years ago Trump would win, 4 years ago he's going to lose. I didn't think it was going to be this decidedly either,
Right.
But, it's weird because we talk about being successful, and you think here are mega donors, mega wealthy people helping run this campaign, and nobody said, like, let's use Rogan. Why didn't she go on Rogan?
Yeah, that was a no-brainer to me.
Isn't that a no-brainer to everybody in the world?
Yeah, pretty much.
Really? Like, is there really? And Joe wasn't going to eviscerate her anyway.
Yeah, he stays pretty neutral.
Correct. Like, it was the best platform ever.
Yeah.
He's huge and he's relatively neutral.
And he has a male audience. She needed that.
It's unbelievable. I just don't. But I mean, every time you think about, man, I don't know if I can run a business. These people were trying to get elected to run the country. And we're like, I don't know. Joe Rogan, maybe. I don't know. Is that a good idea? Oh, go on somebody that actually has an alternative opinion to me? I don't want to do that.
Right.
You know, what do you think from the American people, 2 or 3, your top 3 reasons that people are like, that you believe Trump will get elected?
I mean, it had to have been alternative media and podcasts, because if it was just traditional media like it was in 2020, I don't think he would have won by a landslide. I think.
But what do you think people were why did they want Trump back?
Oh.
Give me the, I'm sorry, poorly worded question on my part.
Yeah, I would say economy was probably the biggest one. People always bring up those grocery and gas prices. That was a huge issue. Trump was speaking on that. I didn't see too much dialogue from her side on those issues. The border, obviously, with the immigrants is another big one. And then just free speech. You saw that all over social media this year. I think, like I said earlier, Elon buying X, game changer.
100%. Yeah, he's a gangster.
Yeah, because I used to get so many videos deleted, like every day. Like I would get a strike or a video deleted. I haven't gotten one in a while.
Really?
Yeah, because they all had to kind of adapt now.
Correct. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard when one's going to go ahead and do it the way it's supposed to be done and play it fair.
Yep.
Good luck with the rest of it, and especially when you're on the losing side.
Yeah.
If you did that for that many times, you're on the losing side. It's funny because I was raised by my mother, my mother is, and I don't say this proudly. When Trump got shot, my mother is a devout Christian. And I don't think she wants to see anybody die. I really don't.
Yeah.
But I don't think she had any empathy because she's so far gone.
Wow.
Yeah, which is really when you're talking about so when people are talking about the way people are viewed or how they're portrayed, what the media's done, I know because I have now obviously my mother and I have polar opposing political views. And then my father, who my mom raised me, you don't get any further right than my father. So you don't get any further left than my mother. You don't get any further right than my father, you know? And my mother, to the point where I just can't have a conversation with her. You know what I mean? And it's my mother, so I'm not going to berate her.
Yeah.
Like, she gave birth to me, you know? But I said to her, I said, Mom, you're not going to like this, but you've been saying my entire life the Democratic Party is a working class party. But for the first time in my life, I actually look around at the amount of people that voted, and when the economy is as bad as it is, and the party that's allegedly the biggest protector of the working class has no comment, no concern, it doesn't matter, we just don't like him. And again, that's what people should understand when we talk about picking money, picking opportunities, and picking businesses. Think about, we give people too much credit. We think they're so smart. We think they're so well put together. I mean, here are a bunch of people that are overeducated and couldn't come up with a game plan where they could even stay in the ball game. How much money did the campaign raise?
1.4 billion she raised.
Think about that.
And she blew it all and an additional 18 million somehow.
Like if you got 1.4 billion to get somebody elected, I would put my money on you and a lot of other people to figure out a game plan with today's alternative media, podcasts, everything that's going on, but just nothing. There was just no plan.
Yeah.
It was.
Well, this was the first election where celebrity endorsements didn't work.
Because they're so detached. But when you can't afford your gas and you can't afford your food and you're worried about your borders and you're worried about your safety and you're worried about calling the police, are they going to show up, and you're worried about people? Dude, who cares what wealthy celebrities think?
Right.
And also, here's the funny one that hit me. I grew up in an era of watching like Will Ferrell and all these guys, and you saw his ad. You see the one he did?
Will Ferrell. No, I didn't actually.
Okay, so where he basically, you know who he is, right? Old
Yeah,
school
the
guy.
actor.
Okay, yeah. No, he always plays a weak, passive. Like, he's not that guy. He was in like Step Brothers,
Yeah.
like a 40-year-old dude living with his mom, and he basically points at the camera and cusses, "I see you, effing Tom. You need to vote. Suck." And it was like, dude, have you ever, like, okay, first of all, they're all detached anyway, and nobody cares what they think. And you're right, for the first time it didn't work. But here's a guy that, like, is the opposite of an alpha male, like the antithesis of one, and also plays that part pretty well. like that's how I am, cussing us out and telling us who to vote for. And that anger, and I think also for me, I knew where I fell anyway, but I don't like being told what to do.
Agreed.
I'm a grown man. If Trump's guy said I had to, I don't like that. I think Vance was huge. I think, even watching his debate and the fact that he had said the things he said about Trump in the past,
right,
and the way they handled that was just genius. Whoever was advising them was, but I really think you're right. The celebrity endorsements, they did not work.
Yeah, I mean, they had everyone. They had Eminem, LeBron James, like Cardi B, all the big names.
They wasted a lot of money.
Yeah. I know some of the payouts on those. It was crazy.
All right. Today, if Sean Mike Kelly was in the White House, what is the number one issue you're concerned with America today?
Ooh, it's got to be the economy and the inflation. I mean, man, buying a house, that loan was rough. Holy
How was
shit.
it? By the way, first home. Congratulations.
Yeah, first home.
Don't get it. You don't mind if we share this, right? How much? Like you don't want to share what you paid for your house. You don't have to. Don't do it if you don't want to. You share a lot. Don't do it if you don't want to.
Yeah, they might look it up.
Hey, how about this? It's not your typical first home. That's all I'm going to say. All right, walk us through that, though. You've never bought a home before.
Never bought a home, so I was new to the process. I was just shopping loan rates, and 8%, man.
Yeah.
So it's pretty high.
Do you know what my first one was?
What was it?
14 and change.
Whoa.
Yeah, dude.
Here I am complaining about 8.
No, 8's bad. 8's bad when we were getting 2.
Right.
1.5. But 8%. But it was 8%'s heavy interest rate in your money.
Yeah, for
taxes, all what you got to pay. How old are you?
27.
27. Think about the people in their 30s and 40s with 2, 3, 4 kids who can't afford to buy a home.
Right.
Can't afford to stay in their home. And I think that, so the economy, that'd be your.
What would be yours?
I'm trying not to say what you said because it's the economy, you know what I mean? But I will say that I think I'm not from a border standpoint, and listen, I don't want anybody to, first of all, I think anybody that goes to any country should go through the process legally. I think that's an easy deal for me. And I do think, don't underestimate who countries are trying to, because if I'm running a business and you're running a business and you're competing with me and they want to quit, I'll give you some people that you can have.
Right.
Believe me, I know who they are. You can have them. And it's only going to hurt you and it's only going to benefit me. So I think that the border, what I realized was a bigger issue for people that I knew it was a big issue. And I think also I live in Florida, so I don't deal with, like when you hear the sheriffs in Florida say stuff like in the media, they're not saying it like whispering it, like, yeah, dude, if you shoot him, it's just less work for us. Like the state I live in, stand your ground state, like I don't have to worry about, not that I don't worry about crime and worry about people still do stupid stuff all over the place, but I don't necessarily worry about the fact that I believe the police will show up.
Yeah.
I believe that the majority of my neighbors are pro-police. I think we want them to be there. I've wanted them there my entire life. I think I'd rather have them do it than me because they don't want them to arrest me for doing it. But I think that I really realized, too, that a lot of these policies had gone so far left and nobody during the campaign tried to bring it back. And I think that's where even some of the folks I know that have been Democrats their whole lives are like, hey, dude, like, I don't want, and also, dude, I don't know if it's number 1 or 2, but I've not met any reasonable person that said, I want men that identify as women to share the bathroom with my daughter. Like, I've not met one. So I think while this idea of, man, I was following this, I'm on Instagram, and it was like a Street View, one of these sites, Street Views or something. Yeah. And my buddy's like, did you follow it? I'm like, dude, I had to unfollow him. And you're like, why? I'm like, because they had a man and a woman in the ring together.
Ooh.
Yeah, and this dude's like teeing off on her, and I'm like, I'm not down with that. I'm like, I'm just gonna get rid of him. It's not gonna unfollow. That's their business. I don't ever believe the man puts his hands on a woman ever, in any capacity ever. But I think that whole concept of, the sports, I think that was huge.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I think 90% of people out there, if they're not trying to pander for votes, would be like, yeah, I don't want that. There's no politician that is like, yeah, I think my daughter at 8, if you feel like you are a woman, even though you're clearly a male, if you want to come in and go to the bathroom where she goes to the bathroom, that's fine because you feel like who out there actually believes that?
Gavin Newsom.
Do you think he does?
I mean, Cali's a wild place.
It is a wild place, but do you think he does? Or do you think he just wants
He's
to vote?
probably getting paid in some way to
Yeah.
make certain laws or whatever.
100%.
Yeah, 100%.
But do you think he really believes
Genuinely,
that?
probably not. No,
probably not.
Yeah.
But that's the saddest part for me. I think what you just hit the nail on the head. It's, dude, we couldn't tell what y'all believed in. And I think that's the thing. Hate, love, talk. Have you met Trump?
Not yet.
Okay, different cat. When I say different cat, exactly what you see is what you get.
Nice. I like that.
You'll love it. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's unusual in today's world. Especially you, like, every single thing you see in pub, that's what you're going to get. I've been to events with him. I've talked, and he's been good to be around. But I will tell you, at least I know when that fool says something, he means it. and he takes a position.
Yeah.
And I think when you're going to be in charge of anything, you have to have a position. I don't have to agree with all your positions, but at least you take them. Like,
Right.
when you're talking, there's no confusion. You take positions. I prefer that because at least I know you have one. It's when you don't, that how can you be in charge of me? What if we get in a really bad situation and you ain't got a position?
Right.
All right, so I want to ask you one now because you asked me earlier about RFK. I've been having this discussion with a lot of people lately because I'm really intrigued. I meet a lot of people and I'm like, hey man, you look great. What are you doing? They're like, dude, I'm on Ozempic. And I'm like, cool. And I don't, from a pharmaceutical scientific standpoint, I don't know enough about it to, but what I know is I'm happy people are healthier. And I had a lot of people say to me, well, you know, it's not fair. And I'm like, what part? Like, well, you know, they went in the shot and they lost weight. And I'm like, okay, but don't you want them to be healthier? Well, yeah, but then what are they going to do? I'm like, I don't know, dude, if they're going to be in the shot forever or not, but they're going to be healthier. I want them to be healthier. First of all, you know a lot about Ozempic and these alternative drugs.
Yeah, I've had on a lot of people against it on the podcast.
Why? Tell me. I don't know very little from a scientific standpoint.
Well, a lot of holistic people come on my show, so they're just like, they don't want any sort of pharmaceuticals, any drugs, any Ozempic's a pest. What's the word? Starts with a P. I forget the word, but it's a specific type of thing. You know, it's not natural.
So they just don't like this is not natural.
Peptide.
Peptide. That's
Yeah.
Right. Okay, peptide. What's your feeling on it?
Yeah, I never like thought about it personally. I've had the opposite issue my whole life. I've been a twig.
Well, you couldn't yet. They need to get you a medication, which is nice because you don't have to worry about what you eat. Probably.
Yeah.
Your metabolism is moving
yeah.
a million miles an hour.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, there's no long-term studies on it yet, so it's hard to really say. It's all subjective. There have been some weird like side effects. Any drug's gonna have a side effect. So anything you put in your body, I mean, it's not just only gonna be benefit.
And dude, you know, listen. And when people have asked me, do I think you can curb your appetite yourself? And the reality also is, part of it for me is I tended to want to eat like shit when I felt like shit. That's kind of what I wanted to eat bad. I did not create any kind of study. My degrees in social work and psychology, what the hell I know about science. But I ate like crap when I felt like crap. And when I felt better about, or was making other bad life decisions, drinking too much, partying too much, whatever. So the reality is, but I've seen a lot of people go off it because they want to, because same deal, like, I don't want to be on something the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And then they go right back on it. Because they're like, then I get hungry again. I'm like, you know, but the rest of us get hungry, and like, I'm not, is your dad really thin?
He was pretty thin. He drank a lot of beer in his later years, but yeah, he was pretty thin, I'd say.
So like, nobody in my family looks like this. They're too big, too thick, and then they get heavy. So I knew at 35, like, damn, bro, like my metabolism wasn't moving. I was a twig too.
Oh yeah?
Oh yeah, I was 97 pounds when I started high school.
Damn.
Dude, I was a twig. I mean, if I showed you a picture of me when I was 28, you'd be like, dude, what were you, like $120? It was tiny. But then I just, you know, with age and but that's how almost everybody in my family was. Like, our metabolism was just crazy high in our 20s. And, but dude, I know that if I eat to the point where I can't get off the couch 3 times a day, I'm going to be overweight.
Right.
And I know that if I don't, I'm not going to be overweight, you know? But I think that, I just think watching people, I thought that was unique for people because they're like, don't you think it's like cheating? And I'm like, are you jealous of people that are getting thin? Like I work out every day because I want to and I enjoy it. But if you don't have to worry about it. But if a buddy of mine, I got a buddy of mine that's lost 70 pounds. It looks great.
Wow.
Good for him.
I know a few too.
And he looks great. Does he work out? No. Does he eat better? He eats less. We still go out. But you know what it also taught me? I'm like, wait a minute, this is all caloric intake then, because they're eating the same shit. They're just not eating as much of it. So I actually altered, because I wanted to eat some other stuff I wasn't eating. But I'm like, dude, if I can just truly portion control this thing, that's what they're doing. Work out 7 days a week. Their medication's making them do it, but they're eating the stuff I want to eat. So I started doing that. I'm like, dude, I'm actually in better shape because I'm eating less calories. But if I want to have a piece of cheesecake, I'm going to have it.
Right.
But I'm not going to eat like I'm taking. It's all how many calories I'm taking a day.
100%.
As opposed to being like I'm going to have this much protein and this much. I'm going to make this here. I'm going to food prep all this. And dude, I love y'all for doing that. Good for you. It's just not my disciplines are in other areas.
Yeah.
All right. So we were talking. You've had a lot of professional football guests and a lot of athletes on. You're a big hooper. Did you watch any college football yesterday?
College football, no. I used to watch it. My dad was a big Notre Dame fan.
Really?
Yeah.
So let me tell you what happened. I want your opinion on this.
Okay.
So there was a number. So Michigan went to Ohio State, beat Ohio State there. They were a huge underdog. And then Florida beat the crap out of FSU at Florida State. Florida State's terrible this year. And then NC State, who's not good, beat UNC, who's not good, at UNC. But what happened at the end of the game is each one of the teams, the away team, took their flag and planted it in the middle of the field and like tried to drive it into where the emblem for the home team is. In Ohio State, the cops actually pepper sprayed the players.
Whoa.
Which is mind-boggling. So I'm like, dude, it's a bunch of guys with equipment's pushing and shoving. Calm down with a pepper spray. Whoever pepper sprayed should probably not have access to anything because he or she freaked out, had a meltdown, and started spraying the players.
Jeez.
But it's funny because I've had a lot of talks this morning, and then I have a podcast later of a couple guys that were both in the NFL, one in the Hall of Fame, and I'm going to ask them, and they're very political with their answers, and they're like, you know, like, and I'm like, Now, somebody said to me, man, the Ohio State coach said that the whole altercation was Michigan's fault. I'm like, no, it's Ohio State's fault because they lost. Had they won at home and they were favored by a bunch and should have won, there wouldn't have been altercation. But we've gone so far in today's world where if you beat me at something, we play a game here and let's just say this is my home. It's not, I'm renting it because I don't live in Vegas, but if it was my home and you beat me, I don't want you to break the windows and damage it, but if you want to stake your claim, put your emblem down, do something else, you beat me. You earned the right to do that. You beat me. I can't fight harder to stop you from doing that than I did during the game. You just beat me. And if you're better than me and you beat me, okay, so be it. What is your take in today's world? Because there's so much of this, like, and the announcers, I thought they were going to cry.
Wow.
They called it a brawl, which it wasn't a brawl. It was barely a scuffle. There's not really fights in the NFL. These guys have full equipment on. You ever punch somebody in the head when they were wearing a face mask or helmet? It's not fun. Like, when we would fight during football, I'm like, dude, you punched me in the helmet with your bare hand. Like, how did I lose in that altercation? Like, I have a helmet on. You should watch it because it'll entertain you. What is your take, though, on where we are today from a competitive standpoint? Because, you know, number one, do you have any position on what I'm talking about right here with the whole flag planting thing? And these, you'll watch them. It'll be really interesting.
Yeah.
They went at each other and jumped up and down and, you know, hung on each other and then whatever, they put them in the locker rooms. But do you think in today's world that we get involved in things we don't need to be involved in athletically, like the NFL wanted to fine players for doing Trump's dance?
I saw that. Yeah.
What's your take on all that stuff?
That's a shame, man. Like you said, if you win, you should be able to celebrate. I don't like how the NBA, you can't even, like, after you dunk, you can't even scream. You get a technical foul. Like, that's soft to me.
Of course it is. And by the way, isn't it more entertaining when you're able to have your emotions?
100%.
So the brand is what? The sponsors are not going to let you. Dude, if you dunk on me and you stand over me and scream at me, you dunked on me.
Yeah.
No, I don't want you to kick me. I don't want you to spit at me. There's things I don't want you to do. But if you stand over me, bro, and scream at me, dude, you did dunk on me.
Facts.
You did earn the right to do that. And guess what? Either next time I got to get better, or if I'm like, bro, he's going to keep dunking on me. You cover his ass. Why am I covering him? Like, I don't want to keep getting dunked on.
Yep.
But we've gotten to a point where baseball, same deal. There was a great article in Sports Illustrated years ago. Bryce Harper was in there, and they said, what's going to happen to baseball? I said, it'll eventually just fizzle out because the people that watch it are old. and you don't let us, I mean, it'll always be around, but it will just, the popularity will continue to dissipate. Yeah, you speed the game up, but if you flip a bat, everybody has a meltdown. Dude, you hit a ball 400 and some odd feet that was thrown at you 99 miles an hour that moved X amount of inches and broke this, dude, you should be able to flip the bat up, do a cartwheel, jump up and down, scream. But what about the one specific to the NFL and Trump and the dance?
Yeah, that's.
Because I've never seen them say you can't have a specific dance before.
That's super silly, but it makes sense. I mean, the Democrats have control of all the media, so all the sponsor money is there. So they probably got some high up guy telling them that, you know.
But at some point in time, dude, you got to listen to the rest of the people, and the rest of the people were pretty loud on election day.
I can see that, yeah.
So you got to be really careful. So, all right, one thing. First of all, thanks for being on, man.
Yeah.
I really, really appreciate you more than you know. You're always a great guest, and thanks for everything you gave us today. And hopefully, people took away from Pick Money, because most folks watching are a lot closer to your age than mine, and it's neat to watch them have these aspirations. And it's neat when you go, well, it took me 3 or 4 years. Yeah, but that's faster than. And by the way, most people will never arrive there. You said something earlier about about being an entrepreneur. You're like, that's not the quickest or easiest way to go make a bunch of money. I always had a job. I had a job, full-time job, until I was 36.
Wow.
Even with all the companies I ran. I bought and sold companies while I still had a job. Which some people probably behind my back were like, that was stupid. I'm like, that's worked out pretty well for me. But and I don't think jobs are evil. Do you think there's some folks that, because there's people that will call me and go, I'm going to quit my job, and I'm like, why? But just tell me why you're quitting your job. Well, I'm going to be a businessman. I'm like, okay, well, slow down first, because you haven't made $1 in your business. What is your, because some people are hardcore, dude, jobs suck, you're giving up your dreams, blah, blah, blah. What's your position on people having their 40-hour week job, JOB, while they're building a business, not building a business, or just in general?
Yeah, my opinion's changed a lot over the years. At first, like 3 years ago, I would have said I hate jobs. I never had one. But then when I sold one of my companies, I guess I technically got a job. I had to stay on for a few years like you're dealing with. And I had newfound respect for it, you know, working in a team setting and having someone to like report to. So you can learn a lot, man, from having a job. So there's no doubt that if you can find a good job where you can learn from someone doing way better than you, why not do it for X amount of years?
And sometimes, dude, it's a way to help fund your business.
Right.
Like, you need to make money and pay your bills. I mean, think about how hard it was for you when you were going through what you were going through. There's a lot of folks that, you know, I remember the guy said to me, when should I quit my job? I said, when you're financially comfortable enough to do so. That might be 1 week of paychecks in the bank. That might be 6 months of bills in the bank, rather. Or you have to figure it out. But it's, I like your perspective. And I like also, dude, opinions change. Some people just die. Like, they're gonna die in every hill. If you die in every hill, dude, you can never win a war. Because you're dying on every mother effing hill. So, Sean, I appreciate you. Thanks for getting on. Always unbelievable. Look at those shoes. Get them kicks on there. You can see those?
Custom
Who made
kicks.
those for you?
One of my fans made these. I got to find his Instagram.
Dude, I need to get fans like that. So, well, I appreciate y'all. Hey, thanks for jumping on. Like, subscribe, share. You can find Sean Mike Kelly everywhere. He ain't hard to find. So, appreciate you jumping on Pick Money.